Everyone, welcome and thank you for taking the time to join us for this webinar. We today are looking at adjusting to the changes to speech. It can be hard for people with MND, I understand, and also for those around them. A new series of guides and practical tools about speech and communication have been developed in collaboration with MND Queensland, with people living with MND and their carers. I'd like to start today by acknowledging the traditional owners on the land on which we meet. Today we have presenters joining from Yuggera and Turnbull lands, Bundjalung land, and I'm based here in Canberra on Ngunnawal land. I would like to acknowledge our traditional owners of the lands, their elders past, present and emerging, and encourage us all to pay our respects to them. The webinar today will explore the new resources that are designed to give useful and expert guidance and reassurance that helps people adjust to the changes and to get support and stay connected throughout every stage of this disease. These resources are available to read and download from the MND Australia website. This webinar will provide an overview of dysarthria, of the resources and how they were developed and how they can be used in everyday life and in clinical practice. MND Australia received funding support from the Australian government to develop these resources, and I really like the way we worked in partnership with MND Queensland and the community to develop the resources, to develop the thinking behind them, and to make sure they're tangible, practical and useful for everyone. Today I have three people joining us on the panel. We have the Director of Care at MND Queensland, Alicia Edwards, and speech pathologist Nicole Hatch. We also have Melissa Fagan, our Information Resources Manager from MND Australia. So I would like to start by introducing Alicia and Nicole, and very interested in what you have to say. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Claire. It is so wonderful to be here. Certainly, MND Queensland was very, very proud to be able to deliver this project on behalf of MND Australia. For those who may not know, MND Queensland provides people affected by MND with comprehensive wraparound services, including advisory and support coordination, equipment hire, and allied health in a multidisciplinary team. Our team includes physio, OT, soon-to-be dietetic psychology, and most pertinent to this project, speech pathology. And our team of speech pathologists played a very critical role in helping develop these resources. And they're so well positioned to do that, working exclusively with people with MND. They've built up quite considerable expertise in managing the changes to speech and communication that this disease brings. So let's get into this. I'm hoping that you can all see my full screen. I've got a horrible big bar across mine, so let me know if there's any issues. But this project was called the Communicating Point Project, and the aims were really to engage people living with MND, so not just people with MND, but their carers, their loved ones, as well as community, to really help us identify what resources were out there and fill the gap. We wanted to raise awareness of dysarthria, improve communication experiences, promote inclusion and participation, most importantly, support choice and decision-making ability, and provide a suite
Someone's
of
put into the
practical...
chat that they're getting echoing.
Oh, sorry. Is that for everybody?
I can't hear the echo, but encourage everyone to mute, whether you're a panelist or in the audience while we're going. But please keep going, Alicia. Thanks.
No worries. Sorry for that. We wanted to create a practical set of co-designed resources that can be implemented by people living with MND and really support that communication across all stages of the MND journey. Okay. And as Claire mentioned, the project has been funded generously by the Australian Government, Department of Health, Disability and Ageing.
Okay, so now we're going to have a bit of a look at why communication matters. So for people in all walks of life, including those with motor neuron disease, it is so much more than speech. It really allows us to connect with family and friends, to express our thoughts, our opinions and emotions, to participate and have a key role in both our work and community life, and to maintain our sense of identity and those connections, which are so important. It helps us to maintain our independence and autonomy in those settings as well. But when it becomes difficult, they can experience frustration, reduced confidence, and then that can lead to social isolation. People don't want to try and communicate when it takes a team to support them to do that. But we do need to remember, and we've made this point bold so it's clear, that changes in speech do not equal changes in intelligence, in a person's ability to understand, or their decision making. Now, most recently in the news, you would have heard about Jai Arrow and his diagnosis of MND. We have a clip here that allows us to see dysarthria in action. So this is the speech changes related to MND. It occurs when the muscles used for speaking become weak or difficult to coordinate. Through this clip of Jai, we can see that he is exhibiting some signs of dysarthria, which makes his speech less clear, more effortful to get his words out. Also, his rate of speech is slower. His speech has some slurred parts to it, and he is also showing some hypernasality. You'll see through the video that Jai is often putting his fingers to his nose, and this may be just a quirk that he has developed over time to help try and build up the resonance in his speech and also make his speech a little bit clearer. It may not be a speech pathology directed approach, but something that he has found useful. And some people find that they build their own strategies over time. Let's have a look at Jai.
When you get diagnosed with something as horrific as MND, motor neurone disease, Jai, what were the signs? When did you first know that something wasn't quite right?
Yeah, well, I noticed my shoulder was twitching and a lot of weakness. And then I was chatting to my partner Brad about it before, but I noticed a lot of things leading up to that. That was a major sign for me, and throughout the year, I didn't really feel the same playing. I felt weak. I felt, not myself. And then, my shoulder was gone, and went to the physio, and I didn't know it at the time. He bloody lied to me, but he was really worried, and went to the neuro, and then now I don't know.
So we can see there a prime example of the qualities that we can listen for and hear when someone has dysarthria. Our goal then is to try and support them to be able to speak and communicate clearly using a range of techniques. And these resources really highlight the wide range of things available for us to use as speech pathologists when we're supporting someone with dysarthria.
So I think like every other Queenslander, I was absolutely flabbergasted to hear, Jai's diagnosis. He's young, he's fit, he's healthy, and it really just shows you the impact that this disease has on people, and certainly why this project is so needed. So people living with MND often report being misunderstood, having to repeat themselves frequently, even being accused of being under the influence of alcohol. They feel excluded from conversations and social activities, and others are making incorrect assumptions about their abilities. That all in combination results in a reduced confidence in social situations and that social isolation. And so obviously these challenges can really affect participation, relationships, and quality of life. And so this project was very much done as a co-design project with people who have lived experience. So under lived experience, we're talking about people living with MND, we're talking about carers, we're also talking about community providers, health professionals, and even support organisations like the Queensland Ambulance Service. So it was very much a collaborative effort throughout every stage of this project, right from conceptualising and designing how we were going to do this project, how we were going to look at what information was out there, analyze it, and then what we'll develop at the end. So everyone involved in the project came together. A gap analysis was essentially done to look at what resources were available out there already in place, because we don't want to just design things for the sake of designing things. We then had them review and analyse these resources to see if they were relevant to people living with MND. Finally, we developed a series of new tools and resources, and these were again circulated and reviewed by people with lived experience. And then they've gone out for trial and testing amongst health professionals.
Okay, so the result was that 18 evidence-informed resources were designed to support people living with MND. And these resources include handouts or resources for people with MND as well as for their carers. It aligns to the 3 stages of disease progression, so people can access information when they are ready to learn more about how their speech and communication can be supported along the journey. There are video resources which feature that lived experience and that real world communication and how to provide solutions for in the moment. There are also dedicated resources for communication partners and some ideas and strategies for how you can support your loved one with MND. The resources are freely available and accessed by anyone. They can provide practical support from diagnosis onwards, even before a speech pathologist has become involved. Throughout the recording of the videos, there was a safe storytelling approach used, and this allowed people with MND and their families to share their experiences in ways that were respectful, person-centered, and also focused on their strengths, their participation and the adaptation or the strategies that individuals had found effective in their environments. They were designed to inform and empower rather than overwhelm, and they were representative of the diverse communication experiences and pathways that people are on with MND. The videos demonstrate that there is no single right way to communicate, but there's a range of strategies in your toolkit that you can pull out and access at any time to support that lived experience across the MND journey. So why does that matter? Well, the safe storytelling approach really helps people affected by MND to see themselves reflected in those resources, to see a way forward and to know that there are supports all the way along their journey. This enables them to feel hopeful and prepared for the future communication changes that they may experience. And one of the quotes from a person who participated in this project was that the stories and examples focus not on what has been lost, but on how people can continue to communicate, connect, and participate. So using these resources, they really act as a reference point to support individualized care recommendations. It's really never too early to get started, and the website can be accessed at any time. They reinforce the idea that practice is key to using these strategies and the ideas in the resources. Some of the tools can be personalized or adapted, but there is no one-size-fits-all solution to managing these speech changes. And a high kind of key point throughout these resources, and something that's highlighted throughout, is that MND does not equal eye gaze, that the clinical reasoning of a speech pathologist is essential because there are plenty of other skills and strategies we can access to make someone feel supported. Now we have a case study, and this is someone who participated in our project. He has been de-identified. We're using the pseudonym of John for this activity. He was a 62-year-old husband, father, and grandfather. He was living with quite advanced MND. He was an NDIS participant, which allowed him to access that assistive technology funding and also allied health supports. He presented with severe dysarthria, which significantly impacted his communication. His family and friends found it quite difficult to understand him. His communication goal was to remain involved in family conversations, in healthcare decisions, and everyday life. His comment was that I still know what I want to say. I just need a way to get it out. We trialed eye gaze with John, but unfortunately it wasn't successful. He found that the challenges he came across were fatigue when he was using it. He had some positioning difficulties, and even though we worked with our OT and physio, we were not able to overcome these. The calibration of the unit was quite variable, and it ended up resulting in quite a slow communication rate for John that just wasn't effective for interactions. So the outcome was that eye gaze was not a reliable or sustainable communication solution for John's daily needs. So how would we support John using the abilities that he still has? What other tools are available to us? This is where the project resources really came into play. We ended up using partner-assisted communication, something that can be forgotten, but this suite of resources really brings it to the fore and helps us remember that this can be a key component of someone's communication system. We provided John's family and partner with communication partner training, which allowed them to support John, to interact, to almost anticipate his needs and work out what he was trying to say. The result of this was that the family members and support workers really gained those skills and confidence to support communication across John's different environments. A family member gave us this quote: "We thought the solution would be a device. Instead, the biggest difference came from learning how to communicate together. The visual resources and the video guides were so helpful. It was wonderful to see the skills in practice." So the key learnings that we could take away from this is that for John, the most effective solution was not a high-tech device. It was a combination of that partner-assisted communication, the communication partner training, as well as access to the project resources, the guides, the carer handouts, and the supportive educational videos that helped make it real for his family. We were able to plan for the present, but also look ahead to John's future needs and what he might need next. The technology didn't give him his voice back. The communication strategies instead gave him a way to be heard.
And so that's the end of ours. I'm going to apologise for the shenanigans going on with my Teams chat popping up and hand back to you, Claire. Apologies.
No, slightly amusing, Alicia. But Alicia and Nicole, thank you. Thank you for the work you've done on this. But more than that, it's really interesting to think about the diversity of how MND presents and what people need. It's not just a one-size-fit, is it? I'd now like to introduce Melissa Fagan from the MND Australia team. Melissa, over to you.
Thanks, Claire. Right, let me share my Right, I think we should be looking at the right slide now. Thanks again, for having me. Thanks to Alicia and Nicole for all the and the team for all the amazing work they did on these resources. I just wanted to start with this statement: "Information is power," and a little quote from Samantha Winemaker, who many of you may be familiar with. She is a palliative care physician and co-founder of the Waiting Room Revolution. And the quote is, "Information is power. When patients get their diagnosis, they feel suspended, and information will help them get their feet on the ground." Now, that our work is founded on this premise. So the Knowledge and Translation and Information team at MND Australia, we want people living with MND, carers, family and friends to be able to find information about MND that is based on reliable, up-to-date evidence and lived experience that gives a better understanding of MND in all its aspects, that assists people to live as well as they can for as long as they can, is available in a range of accessible formats, so that be print or digital or audio or animations or videos. And the reason we want them to be in this range of accessible formats is to meet the needs of different levels of health literacy, digital literacy, language, and also, other forms of accessibility. We want the information to be useful, and that is that it can be acted on and that it addresses a genuine need. And as Alicia and Nicole highlighted, these resources do address a genuine need. We want information to be able to give people the tools to make decisions about their healthcare and to self-advocate within the health system. While we advocate for change within the system, it can be slow and unpredictable. But what we can do with information is equip people with, the tools to be able to navigate that pathway themselves. Information gives people confidence to talk to healthcare professionals, and it also helps people to talk about MND with family and friends. Now, moving specifically to these range of resources, which can now be found at mndaustralia.com.au/speech within our sort of information and support hub. So there's a page dedicated to speech and communication within Living with MND. Now, this page has been on the site for some time, but this new work now replaces the previous information. Now, as mentioned, the co-design process identified a staged approach. That is, people want the right information at the right time to assist them in their journey. So the framing of these stages is aimed at, people's lived experience. So we're talking about preparing for changes in speech, adjusting when speech gets harder, and then staying connected without speech. There's an emphasis, and there was a great quote there from one of the lived experience people who participated in this project about that, communication as a way of staying connected. And these resources really emphasize that. So I'm going to share now the web page. And hopefully you can follow along with the technology. Hopefully this is working. So as you can see, all our web pages have this sort of concertina approach. So we have headers, and then it drops down for more information. Now, this allows people to navigate the page easily without feeling overwhelmed. If they see a header or a topic that resonates with them, they can click on it and get more information there. So in each of these sections, there are some, sort of changes that people might recognize, that can identify that they're in this particular stage. And then these sort of action-based, clear directives for what people can actually do to prepare or to, sort of make a difference. And this links through to the various resources, and I'll mention some of those specific guides and videos in a moment. So at any stage, they can link through where, sort of guiding people to talk to their state association, a GP or speech pathologist is ready, particularly in these earlier phases, to really think about voice banking, to be mindful of things like planning ahead, expressing people's wishes, understanding how others can help. So there's some really useful carers guides and tips for, different people and how to communicate. Apply for funding, obviously a key component of that. supporting mental health, and trying particular tips, as well as the communication tools and technology. And there are dedicated guides to those. Now, if we click on this link to tips, that takes us to another drop down, which lists some tips. So people can find this information on the website. It's also in all the guides, but for some people, they might just want to, get the information on the web page. So there's tips for the person living with MND, and then there's also tips for carers, family, and health professionals on how to better communicate with someone with dysarthria. There's a section here on communication tools and technology, as I mentioned, a little bit of an overview of how communication tools and technology can help. And then, key places to find out more. So we've got a guide, a dedicated guide for communication tools and technology. There are also guides for building your communication system with your speech pathologist and funding your communication system. And there's also some specific tools, which I'll go through in a sec, on partner-assisted scanning and communication boards, as well as handy cards. And as I mentioned, we also have dedicated information here, as you can see. So that's the menu item. It drops down for information for carers and family. So again, action-based directives, and then links to all the guides that are dedicated carer guides. And then at the bottom of the page, we have some videos. So the cornerstone is these PDF guides. And look, we've also made these available. We know that people want to access information in different ways. So the guides are also available to download in one place from our information resources page. So we've got a dedicated section here for the speech and communication series of guides and tools. So this may be particularly useful for a speech pathologist if you want a particular guide to work with a particular client. You can access that here. Also for State MND Association staff, or for people who have a preference for downloadable PDFs or really want to print something off. And they're all here in one place. And you can also link back to the web page and to the videos from this page as well. So I just wanted to show you some samples, a couple of these guides. There's 12 in totals, as well as the communication tools. But just have a quick look here. This is a 4-page guide for voice and message banking. Now, all the guides have a QR code on them. So if someone has one particular guide, they can link through back to the web page and see what else is available. And then we have a very simple sort of outline here of voice and message banking, how to get started, what the options are, things to consider. So very useful. It's 4 pages. It's not too overwhelming, but it covers everything a person might need to know. And there's an example here of a carer guide, and there's some tips here for carers on communicating. And this is for someone who has very little speech or no speech at all. There's also some tips here that were developed by our ambassador, Jane Simpson, and Stacey Eben, about how to talk with someone using eye gaze. So lots and lots of practical tips and tools. So we also have these with these great tools that MND Queensland have developed, which is a pack of communication boards that people can either adapt for their own use or use as they're there. They're available to download as well. There's a whole range of those, as well as instructions for using partner-assisted scanning. We also have these a wallet card and a phone wallpaper that people can download. And as mentioned, a lot of the issues around dysarthria is this confusion around, people in the community thinking that it means that they have cognitive issues when they don't. And it just explains really simply and clearly that a person has MND, but they can hear and understand. Now, finally, I just wanted to show a little snippet of these videos because they are a really wonderful resource. There's 3 in total. They are designed for people at different stages, but within each of them, there's lots and lots of handy tips on using communication tools and a whole range of things. So I highly recommend these videos. I'm just going to show a 2-minute segment before I wrap up.
There are things you can do right now to make communication easier. Time conversations. Have important talks when you have more energy, like in the morning. Breath support. Sit upright. Take a breath before speaking. Your speech pathologist or physiotherapist may teach you breath stacking, which is taking 2 or 3 small breaths on top of each other before speaking. Good posture. Sit upright with your feet supported and your head level. Clear speech. Aim for slightly slower, slightly louder speech and over-pronounce your key sounds.
Hi, my name is Rob.
Topic cue. Start by saying the topic first, then the message. For example, shopping? Can you get milk? Prepare listeners. Carry a small card that says, my speech is affected. Please give me time and check back what you hear. Use written or electronic support. Send a text, type a message on your phone, or write on paper. Keep a backup. Have a notebook, app, or amplifier nearby. Optimize your environment. Turn off the background noise like TV or radio. Repair strategy. If a message breaks down, stop, shorten the message, use keywords, and try writing or texting.
And finally, what's next? So we have an additional 12 months of funding for this project. Some of our current plans are, as well as sort of expanding upon some of these resources and refining and adding to other areas of the website, we'd like to develop an interactive decision tool to assist people choosing communication tools and tech, and look at sort of some awareness campaigns and training for specific groups. For example, aged care workers, paramedics, and potentially community groups as well to aid social access. Your suggestions and feedback are very welcome. You can contact myself and the team at resources@mndaustralia.org.au, and there's a QR code there for you to scan that will link through to the Speech and Communication webpage. And lastly, I'd just like to thank MND Queensland and everyone in the lived experience community involved in co-designing these resources. I'd like to thank MND New South Wales for sharing their wallet card and phone wallpaper, and also the Australian Government Department of Health, Disability and Ageing for funding this project.
Thank you, Melissa and Alicia and Nicole. We've got some time for some questions now. So if you've got a question for the panel, pop it in the chat. The first question that's come through is from Kathy, who's wondering if the slides will be available. I know we're recording this and sending this out. Can we also send the slides out, please? I'm going to send that one to you, Alicia.
Sure. I think we can pull them all together and send them out. I'll make sure that Melissa has them, and she'll probably be best to distribute them. But certainly we have recorded this and it will be available, which is great.
Fantastic. Thank you. It is such a comprehensive suite of resources we've got now. It really is a testament to the partnership with the community, the partnership with MND Queensland and the state associations. I think it'll make a really big difference for people who are affected by dysarthria. I've got a question from Arlene, which is, what happens if you cannot use your hands and arms? Melissa did not give advice on this. Now, I'm not sure. I wonder if that relates to the cards and some of the prompts. But Alicia and Nicole.
Claire? Yeah, I might pass over to Nicole for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that would be where the partner-assisted communication comes into play, and it would be your communication partners who would then assist you in conveying the message when they're trained to look and make sure that they understand where you're indicating using those communication boards. Then you don't need to necessarily have the arm function to be able to communicate effectively.
And something I've seen, Nicole, that I think you've done is use, say, a laser pointer on a headband or something so that can also be directed.
Absolutely.
Is that right?
Yeah, so people can become more independent as well with the use of technology. And for some people, strategies like eye gaze can be effective.
Fantastic. I was going to say, Nicole, how long between you and Alicia, you must have like a wealth of experience with dysarthria. What are some of the things that you've seen in the clinic and in the association that really make a difference to people's lives, as well as the things that we've addressed in the webinar?
I think that key message about someone's intelligence not being affected is so key, and something that people really come across as a barrier in the community in accessing services. Even going and completing their shopping can be difficult and make them think, how do I prove that I'm okay? And I don't have those cognitive changes. So providing these resources and that support really just helps people make sure that their world stays open rather than closed off and socially isolated.
Yeah. And I would say also, and Nicole highlighted this, what we do see a lot, and at the moment, is that MND, speech pathologists, and even the community are going, they need an eye gaze device. Like, that's the only solution. Some people will never lose their arm function with this disease. So they don't necessarily need eye gaze, which is incredibly tiring to use. So it is so important to be engaging your allied health team and to be working with them, and also understanding, how are you going to use this? What technology have you got? What training have you got? What internet access have you got? So we've really got to look much more holistically, and that's why we are so lucky to have a team of speech pathologists who work with clients, because unfortunately eye gaze isn't the only solution out there.
Really interesting. We've had a little bit of commentary about, or some questions asking for hints and tips on good apps to use. Melissa, thank you for directing people to the website. There is lots of information, and in fact, now's a good time to just reiterate to everyone, there is a wealth of information that's been developed by the team at MND Australia, by the team with the state associations, and by the lived experience community on the MND Australia website. But Alicia and Nicole, while we've got you, could I put you on the spot and ask for your advice on good apps and good sort of technology, particularly on phones, that you can refer people to?
Yeah, absolutely. And I see in the comments that one was mentioned called Speech Assist. It is a low cost or free app, and it can also take your banked voice. So the synthetic voice that is created using one of the products like 11 Labs or Acapella can be loaded up. So that one allows you to customize your phrases, to minimize the typing that's needed to happen when you're communicating a message, and it makes the communication a little more seamless if you're able to preload things and get ready. Yeah.
But I think what we have to remember is that there are new apps coming out every day, and so having a list is a real challenge. We do our best to stay up to date. We love playing with tech here and trialing new things. But yeah, at the moment, we now have access to this awesome technology with 11 Labs, and we have a dedicated voice banking program that supports that. And we have noticed that the Speech Assist app, I think at the moment, is the easiest for that beginning level of communication.
Yeah,
there is a bit of a cost, absolutely, but we haven't gone into the resources and put an exhaustive list because it'd probably be outdated before we put it on the website.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
you're always welcome to reach out to us or any of the state associations, and we'd be happy to help provide you what we're using tomorrow.
Yes.
Fantastic. We've had a question about resources for people who don't speak English. Melissa, I might throw to you because I know this has been a pretty significant project that we've just launched.
Yeah, that's right, Claire. So at the moment, we do on our website have a tool called Recite Me, which does translate web pages and I believe PDFs into different languages. So that's an option, but also down the track, we're looking at, potentially providing some simple translations of some of the tools as well. And I saw a couple of questions there about the access options, and I did not cover, I only touched on a few things. So there are in the guides, in the communication tools and technology guide, there is some information about different access options for people who can't use their hands. And there was another question that I saw about something as well that I thought I could respond to, but I can't. Oh, the picture-based communication board. I believe there is one in the pack that is image-based, so not just alphabet. So there are a range of, and Alicia and Nicole will be able to talk to this, obviously with the communication boards and tools. There are so many different options out there. I know that there are digital versions as well that people can create themselves. So the communication pack that we've developed is really, it's a starting place for people to start with and then to go from there, because there are, again, I think particularly in this area with technology, sometimes it's changing very fast. There's so many options available, and we're just trying to make things, sort of simple and easy for people. So some of this is really a starting place, even though the information is also very comprehensive.
Fantastic. Thank you. And Alicia and Nicole, things like the voice banking software and some of the apps that you use, can you use them if you don't speak English?
Yeah, actually, 11 Labs has the ability to either be translated into lots of different languages, or you can do that as well when you're recording. Same with a cappella, which is the other option that we offer. While we've got the microphone, we've seen Kathy has said she can't use voice banking because it's too late. We've now been able to create a synthetic voice with 10 to 20 seconds of audio and a fair bit of editing behind the scenes. So if you've got home videos, if you've got voicemail messages, we can actually do some pretty cool things with technologies, and that's what our voice banking service does. So Kathy, if you need some help or would like to have a chat about it and you have a recording or two, we would be more than happy to give you a hand. Okay. Even what we've done is we've had family members who have sounded pretty similar. So if you've got maybe a sister who sounds almost the same, we can do that too. So one thing I have learned as part of this process is make a few recordings along the way so that you've got an insurance policy.
Well, I would like to thank everyone for joining us today, this afternoon, or depending on where you are in the country. Alicia, Melissa and Nicole, thank you very much for your time and advice today. But more than that, thank you for putting the effort in to the resources and to developing this work so that everyone can access better speech, better resources and better hints and tips like the tech solutions you just talked us through. The website mndaustralia.org.au has all of the information that we've discussed in this webinar. And as Alicia's just talked about with the speech services or the voice banking services, reach out to your state association. Across the country, they are on the ground able to help with any element of MND, but particularly voice banking and speech services. So on behalf of the MND Australia network, I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. We will send out the slides and the video to you shortly, and we'll see you again for the next webinar. Thanks very much. Bye.